Well, we've seen one thing that's helping us get there is the regulatory environment and the SFDRs coming in, and that seems to be shaping, and a lot of people seem to be fixing or moving towards doing more in that regard. How are Unigestion responding to that challenge, and how easy is it to align yourself with those demands?
For us, it was really a very interesting period of introspection to understanding how we wanted to position ourselves in regards to SFDR. So we decided that for every liquid strategy, we will be equivalent to what we call Article 8, meaning that ESG will be integrated and there will be in the investment DNA, but at a stronger level. And we decided that we were also going to launch some Article 9, which will have a purpose, societal purpose, and we decided that the first one will be around climate transition and climate enablers. So because it gave a very clear definition of what does it mean to be called sustainable, ESG integration, etc., it permitted us to define where do we want it to be in the spectrum. So we thought it was a very useful process because it helped people align to some common definition.
Can I ask as well, what's the response been from like the client side of things? Have you seen flows go into the more ESG aligned or SFDR focused funds, and where is the appetite in the future? Do you see it growing along the equity lines or the fixed income lines, or is that too simplistic?
So I think at the end, ESG will be present in all asset class, and it will be part of an investment asset allocation, every asset included. What is still complex, and I think will remain the fact, is that ESG view depends very much about belief of individual, politics in certain countries. So typically, even on climate, it's not clear today, nuclear, is it considered a green energy or brown energy? There is a lot, and I think this will not necessarily disappear so easily. And what we want to do with our public product is to show that we can do Article 8, we can do Article 9, and then it's the client who decides, because 60% of what we manage is in tailor-made solution, is the client that decides what shade he wants. And what is his definition of ESG? Because at the end, as an asset manager, we have to acknowledge that the clients generally, and that's a trend we see with our clients, is that they are starting to write down also what is their ESG belief, what is their ESG value, and then how does that translate into the asset allocation, asset by asset. And then therefore you cannot come with your own view about what is ESG because it's perhaps conflicting with their view. For example, if you use scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, and they still use only scope 1, scope 2, then you don't fit up in their strategy and you don't have the same measure. So I think it's our role to have our belief, but then to be able to adapt to the ESG framework of the client and go the speed he wants to go.
You talked there also, there's a political element. We're speaking in mid-October, COP26 is happening in the next month. How monumental is that for the asset management industry specifically, and what do you hope comes out of it with regards to the investment element of things, and are you looking at anything specifically that Unigestion will be doing off the back of that?
I think what will be important is that there's been a lot of pledge lately by governments, by countries, by investors, by investment managers, etc. I think what will be important now is to make sure that there are roadmaps to these pledges and that there are plans. And that they are common definition. So for example, one thing which will be important is that TCFD, which is today, that it would become mandatory. Like that we will all have the same way of measuring a roadmap of how do we get to net zero in 2050. So that would be one of the goals, to transform more into an action plan some of the pledges.